Coming up tonight on the news at 6.
Awareness and advocacy have to start at home.
A new partnership aims to fight human trafficking right here in Montana. Plus, Helena City leaders are set to consider a goal to keep more waste out of the landfill.
From Montana's news leader, this is MTN News at 6.
Good evening. Welcome to the news at 6. I'm Marian Davidson. Thanks for joining us. Well, our top story tonight at 6, Montana's Attorney General just announced the Sentinel Project. It's a new partnership between the Department of Justice, Montana Beer and Wine Distributors Association, and the Montana Association of Chiefs of Police, and it's aimed at fighting human trafficking. MTN's Alexia Guayo reports.
We have a remembrance table that represents and is a memorial to those who have yet to be found and for those that are vulnerable among us.
41 cases of human trafficking in Montana were recorded in 2020. That is near a 500% increase from 2015, when the Montana Department of Justice only reported 7 cases then. The Attorney General says each officer in the state is trained to recognize human trafficking signs.
Montana law enforcement will do its part, but awareness and advocacy have to start at home. And that's where the Montana Beer and Wine Distributors Association comes in.
The Attorney General announced a new partnership named the Sentinel Project. It trains all beer and wine distribution employees on how to look for signs of human trafficking on the roads. The association and the Department of Justice admit because distributors visit more than 3,000 locations, oftentimes making deliveries in areas with limited visuals to the general public, it makes them essential to combating human trafficking in Montana.
It is our hope that beverage industry drivers will call or text with a tip when they suspect someone is being trafficked. And we hope that this is something every Montanan will soon be able to do.
The Montana Beer and Wine Distributors Association also partnered with the Lifeguard Group to provide free online information to learn more about human trafficking and how to look out for indicators.
Of all of those young girls, those young boys, those men, those women that are forced into sexual exploitation, only 1% of those victims will ever get out of the life.
In Helena, I'm Alexia Guayo, MTN News.
Also new, a statewide human trafficking hotline. Victims or anyone with information about human trafficking can call or text the number on your screen. That's 833-406-STOP. And the Montana Missing Indigenous Persons Task Force held their monthly meeting and gave an update on the crisis facing Indigenous people. The Montana Department of Justice Missing Persons Specialist, Brian Frost, said out of the 167 missing people in the state, 53 are Indigenous. That is 31% of the overall cases. And out of the 21 agencies that reported a missing Indigenous person, the Crow Agency reported the most with 10 cases. The task force also discussed House Bills 35, 36, and 98. All of them passed the House and have moved to the Senate Judiciary Committees for consideration. Ernie Wyand, the U.S. Department of Justice Missing and Murdered Indigenous Persons Program Coordinator for Montana, said the Confederated Salish and Kootenai Tribes Response Plan is the first of its kind.
First pilot project in the United States to develop a tribal community response plan to really address effectively emergent missing persons cases.
Wyand explained CSKT combines information from outside agencies like law enforcement to ensure the tribes can guide and govern the process of finding missing and murdered Indigenous people. The task force will meet again next month. All right, now it's time for First Weather with Chief Meteorologist Curtis Grevenitz. Good evening, Curtis.
Good evening, Mary. Good evening, everybody. A little wintry out there today. Some light snow flying in parts of the state here. A little heavier snow in some areas. Deep Creek Pass. Actually, road surface doesn't look too bad. I was just watching this and saw a plow move by. So if you're planning on heading up from the Townsend area to White Sulphur Springs or vice versa, road's not so bad, but probably in the canyon might be a little bit slippery. Up on the Lewistown Divide, certainly some snow and slick roads here. We've got our old foe, a wind chill advisory back here for the Canadian border for tonight. In Avalanche, avalanche warning for the mountains of Madison and Gallatin counties. Still, Broadwater County, specifically for Deep Creek Pass, winter weather advisory going for another couple of hours. We'll take a look at the radar coming up in the full forecast, but basically the snow is beginning to move on out. Speaking of that snow, it's serene, right? It's light, it's fluffy, it still is in the trees. Well, that snow is about to turn sloppy because of wind moving in and temperatures moving up here. So enjoy that pristine snow while we have it, because it's about to get a little tainted. I'll have more on the forecast coming up.
Today, Governor Greg Gianforte detailed the state's assessment of the COVID-19 pandemic and vaccination efforts in Montana. MTN's John Riley reports.
At a Wednesday press conference, Governor Greg Gianforte thanked Montanans for a continual downward trend in cases after a surge at the beginning of the year following the holidays. February is also the first month since August that saw days with COVID hospitalizations under 100 individuals.
While we aren't out of the woods yet, we continue to make progress and our trend lines remain promising. But it's just not about our positive trend lines as far as new infections and hospitalization. It's the positive progress we're making in getting shots of safe and effective vaccine into the arms of Montanans.
However, Gianforte says Montana isn't getting the doses it should be, and was joined this week by Senator Tester, Senator Daines, and Representative Rosendale, all calling on the Biden administration to provide more doses to Montana. On Monday, MTN reported Montana was nearing 5% of the population being fully vaccinated, ranking 16th among all states. In terms of vaccine allocation per capita, Montana ranks 45th in the nation.
We can administer half of our weekly allocation of first doses in one day. And we've done it. The problem remains that we aren't getting our fair share of vaccines.
Missoula County was recently added to the Federally Qualified Health Center COVID-19 vaccine program, following the call for more vaccine doses from Montana's top elected officials. The designation will allow Missoula to place direct orders with the federal government. Governor Gianforte says that he is optimistic that the COVID-19 vaccine supply allocated to Montana will increase in the future. The state is also paying close attention to the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, which has recently sought emergency use authorization by the FDA. Reporting in Helena, John Riley, MTN News.
Taking a look at the COVID-19 situation in Montana, active cases in the state continue to decline, falling below 2,500. Just over 200 additional cases were reported today in Montana, and right now, 96 people are hospitalized with the virus. One death was reported today, which brings the statewide death total to 1,344. MTN uses a combination of state and local data to report COVID-19 cases and deaths here in Montana. St. Peter's Health opened a new wound care center dedicated to healing chronic wounds that have resisted traditional treatment. Now, according to the National Institutes of Health, around 6.5 million people in the U.S. are living with a chronic wound. When left untreated, they can lead to amputation and even life-threatening complications. Staff say chronic wounds are nothing to be ashamed of and hope the new outpatient clinic will help heal long-term afflictions.
Chronic wounds are very common, and there are a lot of people out there who have been suffering in silence, thinking that they don't have good options or good interventions for this.
And the provider-driven model that we now have adopted will better serve the community for these folks with these wound care needs. And our goal is to have these folks through our doors in 48 to 72 hours after referral.
A chronic wound is generally defined as a wound that has not healed after 6 weeks. We have more information about the center on our website, ktvh.com. And still ahead on the news at 6, we will tell you about a Helena proposal aimed at putting less waste in the landfill.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching MTN News at 6.
Welcome back to the news at 6. Soon, Helena city leaders will consider adopting a conservation resolution, which sets up a goal to keep more solid waste out of the landfill. Tonight, MTN's Jonathan Ambarian talked to members of the advisory board that recommended the goal.
Currently, Helena estimates about 20% of the solid waste the city manages is diverted, meaning it doesn't end up in a landfill. On Monday, the City Commission will decide whether to aim for a much higher percentage over the next 20 years. Commissioners will discuss a resolution endorsed by the Citizen Conservation Board. It would call for 35% of waste to be diverted by 2030 and 50% by 2040.
You know, it's non-binding, it's not a law, but it does nonetheless show support and a commitment by the city government on helping reduce the waste stream.
The resolution also calls for the city to put together a strategic plan over the next 18 months on how to meet those goals. The Conservation Board has asked city leaders to budget $60,000 to hire a consultant.
We've had a lot of ideas that have been, presented to us, but that's why we would like the city to, in a concerted way, put together a strategic plan, looking at cost benefits, etc.
Supporters say landfills are major contributors to greenhouse gas emissions, and waste diversion is one place where local efforts can actually make a big impact. They say one key will be public education.
The good news is that a lot of this is going to be on the consumer and each of us as residents. And what can we do as individuals to reduce the amount of material that we have to deal with after we're done with it in the first place?
The Commission will consider the resolution Monday at their regular meeting. It starts at 6 p.m. and you can participate over Zoom. In Helena, Jonathan Amberian, MTN News.
Helena's 2009 Climate Action Plan called for the city to reach 35% waste diversion by 2020, but they did fall short of that goal. And now with another look at the weather, here's Chief Meteorologist Curtis Krepnitz.
All right, these turtles are okay. They are not dead here, but they're getting a little help, and I will explain more about this odd picture here coming up in the full forecast.
Tracker weather starts now with Chief Meteorologist Curtis Krepnitz.
All right, welcome back, everybody. The clouds, the snow beginning to break up here just a little bit. You can see the high woods after getting a nice amount of snow in the high woods and around the little belts as well. So some snow, light and fluffy out there. That's about to change, though, the snow that is, as things are going to get a little sloppy. With warmer temperatures and wind moving in. Crazy 8 right now in Great Falls, and it feels like wind chills are back down below 0, 6 below 0 in Great Falls. The snow also coming to an end for the most part around the Helena area, and temperature's been sliding down all day long. Right now we're down to 17 with a wind chill of 8. Current readings, a couple single digits out there. Cup Bank at 8 degrees as well. Most of the states in the double digits above 0. But a few locations now, north central Montana, closer to the high line with a wind chill back below 0. And because of the possibility that wind chill values will get down to about 30 below, closer to the Canadian border, and right along the Milk River Valley there near Havre through Chinook and Harlem, we've got that wind chill advisory going into tomorrow morning. Still for the Deep Creek Pass area, a winter weather advisory for another few hours. And down towards the south here, we've got an avalanche warning for the mountains of Madison and Gallatin counties. Avalanches, human caused, but also just natural. The weight of the snow is separating and natural slides are occurring. And big enough slides where, life-threatening conditions likely with those avalanches. Unsurvivable avalanches, to be more exact, in that area. So keep that in mind. Stay in bounds, please. On the radar, you can see a little in the way of some flakes of snow still out there. Again, the radar doesn't necessarily pick up snow all the best here in the winter. We could see some flakes still out there, potentially in between the little belts and the big snowies. Look at some of that snow and ice once again all the way down south. Winter storm warnings from New York City all the way down into parts of Texas. Now, back to the turtles that everybody has been asking me about. Well, this photo from the Texas game warden. And yes, those are turtles, and they are stunned because of the very cold water temperatures along the Gulf of Mexico. When the water drops to less than 50 degrees, the turtles kind of get into a little shell shock, so to speak. And the Texas game wardens are out there picking up the turtles and saving them, and we'll put them back in the water when the temperatures do come up, which they will in a couple of days back there in Texas. But here in Montana, the snow moving out, sunshine tomorrow, some clouds moving in late, some mountain snow, mainly mountain snow Thursday night into Friday, a few more snow showers mainly in the mountains here on Saturday. But what you don't see is the wind really increasing Saturday and Sunday into Monday and Tuesday as well. Monday could be a little messy with a little mix of some rain and snow. There could be a little snow coming through parts of the state Tuesday and Wednesday as well. But snowfall accumulations pretty much over with here for tonight. There will be a few inches in the western and southern mountains here as we go through the course of Friday and Saturday, and then Monday and Tuesday of next week, maybe a little in the way of some snow. Here's the forecast for tonight. Another chilly night with a lot of northern Montana down below zero, central areas down near zero, like around Helena and Great Falls, and also around the Lewistown area. For tomorrow, a sunny start, a chilly start. Highs in the 20s to about 30 degrees. The wind will be increasing off of the Rocky Mountain front. For Friday, 30s and 40s. Some snow showers, maybe even down around Helena, but mostly in the mountains. Saturday, a couple of mountain snow showers moving through. Once again, windy, blowing snow, sloppy, messy snow as the temperatures come up here, so enjoy that serene snow out there right now. And Sunday, look at those temperatures well up into the 40s with some really strong wind, maybe gusts higher than 50 miles per hour for northern Montana on Sunday. Helena, 7-day forecast, 40s, even maybe 50 on Monday. I know that looks like a lot of precipitation, but there will not be a big accumulation of snow anytime soon. For Great Falls, it's more about the wind creating some dangerous travel conditions over the north central part of the state through the weekend.
All right, thanks, Curtis. Coming up on the news at 6, the Special Olympics will look a little different this year. We'll tell you what those changes are up next.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching MTN News at 6.
Welcome back to the news at 6. Special Olympics Montana wrapped up their Bowling Blitz competition with a virtual award ceremony last night. 13 teams and 169 participants from across the state submitted their scores. The Great Falls Lions team had 9 athletes in the competition, 2 placed gold, 2 silver, and 1 bronze.
This year bowling was certainly different, but you all made the best of it, and we cannot wait to see you all again in person when times allow. Now that the Bowling Blitz has wrapped up, we can look forward towards our spring and summer games.
We're going to take an approach much like we did with the Bowling Blitz, having our athletes compete from their home communities, but competing against athletes all across the state in actually 5 different sports, which will be outdoor sports we're concentrating on this year.
The Summer Games for the Special Olympics starts in May, and once again, the games will look different this year. MTN's John Miller reports.
The 2021 Summer Games for the Special Olympics is just around the corner, but it was announced today those games once again will be virtual.
We're disappointed that we're not going to be able to host the 1,000+ athletes and their coaches and families.
In Bozeman, you'll still see a big footprint of state summer games. So we're going to be recording an opening ceremony, a closing ceremony, a dance, as well as a final leg with our law enforcement torch run.
It's technically going virtual, but the games will still have many participants competing from their hometowns.
This year, they're doing that from their home communities. So it's a real opportunity for those home communities, small rural areas that don't get to host the state summer games like Miles City or Hamilton or Glasgow, to really unify around our mission and show the athletes in their community that they're there to support them.
Teams will still gather as normal and try to get the gold medal together.
We're offering 5 outdoor Olympic type sports for them to participate in, and then instead of coming together and competing, they're going to be tallying their scores towards the end of season, putting those into Special Olympics, and then we'll be kind of tallying that across the state and determining winners from there.
And for the athletes, they're just happy to be competing in the games.
Just as long as they get to do something, I don't care.
In Bozeman, John Miller, MTN Sports.
All right, and we'll wrap things up here on the news at 6 when we come back.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching MTN News at 6.
Welcome back. The world's largest snow maze opened this weekend in Western Canada. An unseasonably warm winter had delayed the build in Manitoba, but that changed and it was finally cold enough to be built. There's a sliding hill and even snow huts with artwork inside. According to the owner, the maze is even bigger this year and there are COVID-19 restrictions in place. So how big is it? The maze is about 240,000 square feet. And that does it for the news at 6. We'll see you back here tonight at 10 for your latest local news and a look at the weather.